Hogstye.
Hello, and in the immortal words of Dan Snyder, happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
There
Uh,
we go.
It's a shame he was talking about. He was said that at a totally different holiday, but
he
Yes,
said
he
he
did.
said it like was it? It was actually after New Year's, I think, already when he
Yeah, it
said
was.
that.
It was after New
yeah,
Year's. Yep.
He said it for Martin Luther King Day. We don't know
he's
why.
the brilliant public speaker that he is.
Welcome to the Hogsty. It is the full crew here: Alex, Steve, Dave. Uh,
Our
again,
fourth cast member is sitting on my foot right next
yep,
to me, so he
yep.
may chime in when he feels appropriate. I'm
Uh,
talking about Kobe the dog, of course.
Kobe the Cog is, of course, there.
Not the cog. Don't insult
I
him.
said,
He's
I
a
didn't say
dog.
cog.
You
Dog.
said cog.
I said dog.
He said dog.
Okay.
Steve's
What
hearing's
to rewind
getting
that one
bad.
back?
Yep.
What-
Yep. Steve's
what to
hearing's
rewind
Listen,
that
I've
one
been in
back?
front of guitar amps and airplanes my entire life. Okay.
Yes, that is true. There might be some tinnitus.
Yeah, I'm not exaggerating. It's
No, we know. When you're not doing your real job, you just like loud things.
What?
Yeah.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
we should get a little ASL interpreter on the screen here for you.
I'll muddle through. My hearing is actually, yeah, see, my hearing is actually, shockingly enough, not damaged somehow. I don't know how that's possible.
Whereas mine is actually awful. But
I mean, yeah, you live in a mono world.
right. For those who don't know, I was born deaf in one ear, so my whole
But
world is in mono.
But in spite of my penchant for being around loud guitar amps and airplanes, my hearing is basically totally normal.
Yes, it is.
Unfortunately, I got that wonderful tinnitus that I go on.
Yeah. Also, Dave, you are around a lot of loud things,
Yes, I am.
and I'm not just talking about your household with all your kids and your wife
Yeah,
and
right.
grandkids.
Well, yeah, in your work life, yeah, my
Yes.
current work life is not loud anymore.
Right.
Right. Well, anyway,
It's
so
chaotic, but it's not loud.
it is chaotic.
And the
In
crazy,
all-
and the crazy part is everyone tells me your voice is so loud, you need to lower your voice. I can't tell.
Right. Well, because you're used to
Sorry.
shouting over very loud things. I don't. Do we
Yes.
tell? I don't know if we talk about what Dave does for a living on the show.
I don't know if
I-
Dave wants to. I mean,
No,
I'd leave
that's
it up to
fair.
Dave to.
Yeah, that's fair. Those are the rules.
Well, I think
Well,
it took us a while to learn how to talk in a broadcast format.
Right.
It's not the same as having a conversation for people who are wondering. out
Right.
there.
Right.
It's not the
Right.
same.
There's off-air, on-air conversations. There's all sorts of rules. And also everyone's different. I'm pretty much an open book, and Steve has like 100 things he's hiding from you all, and
Yes,
Dave's got
that's true.
Dave is actually 6'3". We don't talk about that very often, but you know, that's the whole thing.
I literally had to place my laptop up high so I can get my upper stature into the actual camera. Even sitting
all
down, not
these
enough.
all these jokes about Dave being 4'10". Totally not true. See,
Well-
Kobe knows. Kobe's a
Well, Kobe saw a car drive by. He got very excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
he was agreeing with Dave. Okay.
Yep. Yes. In all sincerity, happy Thanksgiving to all our listeners, and happy Thanksgiving to both of you. Since this is coming out on Thanksgiving
yeah,
Day.
you too.
Yep. I hope
Absolutely.
everyone eats way too much food. My wife just had hand surgery, so I'm doing all the cooking in this house tomorrow, which is going to be fun.
Tell her to shape up or ship out. Look, if she's got to do her job, and I don't care if she has one hand, she needs to cook. Or whatever her part of the cooking is, tell her to suck it up and do it.
You know what? I don't know. We've seen some of the things that Alex has actually done and spoken about. I'm thinking him cooking everything probably won't be a bad thing.
Oh no! So I'm going untraditional. I had a brisket sitting in the freezer for a while. I'm gonna make a nice
Nice.
Jewish brisket instead of a turkey, because
I-
I don't need to make a 12-pound turkey for 2
Of
days.
Listen, man,
all the
brisket is good any day of the year.
Yep.
I won't argue that.
Of all the many things Alex and I are total opposites in,
It's
because
cooking.
cooking is maybe at the top of the list because like Alex has done like specialized meals for game days, and
Absolutely.
he's like let bacon simmer for hours, and and
Made
Well,
bacon
yeah,
meanwhile
jam. Yeah.
well, yeah,
meanwhile
he
I'll
actually knows how
microwave
to
it.
operate. He knows how to operate a stove,
Right.
where
Right.
you, on the other hand, very proficient in microwave.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my response to that time, Alex said he made bacon in 10 hours. I said I microwaved it in
Yes.
55 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, it is definitely it's that politics, and you're a musician. I'm an artist. Those are the two. Those are
Yeah,
the big three.
I can't draw anything.
Yeah. Whereas I have no musical talent. I can
Nor do you
paint.
have a literally don't have an ear. So
No, I'm completely tone deaf. It's
yeah.
amazing.
Well, you
Uh,
literally only have one side
yeah,
of your
yeah, yeah.
head that you can hear.
Hey, but Beethoven was a pretty good composer, and he was completely deaf.
He
So
was. He was.
you know.
Well,
Uh,
see, that's where you guys just kind of picked the perfect partner for you two, because I'm like right in the middle. I'm not great at anything.
right.
I'm a master at nothing, but I like a little bit of everything you guys talk about.
Inch
And you
deep,
make me
mild,
look
wide. Yeah.
There you
and you make
go.
me look tall, and I appreciate that because you're 4'10".
Well, you guys also
Uh,
have always gone to the same barber, which is, another.
True.
If you can't tell, we this is one of those weird not off season, bye-week spectacular shows where the team stinks, so we really don't know what to talk about for part of it.
Well, we used to do something called the Bye-Week Spectacular, which was me scaring up a guest. But
Right.
since we got away from the guests, we kind of gave
Yeah.
up on the Bye-Week Spectacular. And by the
We
way, I
used
mean,
to
if
always
anybody
make them
wondering,
2 hours long.
if anybody wondering why we've given up on the guests, part of it is they're harder to wrangle now because there's a lot more podcasts and
Yep.
stuff. And the
Right.
other part is the way we are recording habits now make it difficult to
Right.
to bring
That's a big
people
part
in.
of it.
Yeah.
That's a
So I haven't
Uh,
forgot about it. If one of these days, I'll think about it and start doing it again.
sadly, most of our guests either have their own podcasts at this point, most of our regular guests, or in the case of Rick Snyder, and some others, they've passed away. Like some of our favorite
Yeah.
guests.
Well,
Yeah.
like I could scare up like the Joe Jacobys of the world because
Right.
now it's harder to reach out to get those people now, and
Right, yeah,
the whole
exactly.
thing is harder.
I think Joe Jacoby might have a podcast. I don't know what he talks about, but Joe Jacoby
haven't heard from
discusses
him in a
art
while.
history.
Last time we heard from him was like a year or two ago, and he
Yeah,
forwarded
yeah.
me something about like an offensive line. Remember?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. Yes. All right. So let's
Oh,
get.
by the way, the news on Jacoby is I think he's a semi-finalist
I think so.
in
He's
the
he's not
senior
out yet. Yep.
committee Hall of Fame. And so
Yes.
the senior committee is harder. We had the guy
Mm.
on from Dallas, whose name is escaping me, the Dallas Morning News.
McCain.
Yeah, thank you, him.
Yep.
And no, that's the guy from Houston.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. That's the guy from Houston. My
I
mistake.
can't remember his name, forgive me, but the long time nationally known beat writer from Dallas who's a Hall of Fame voter. We had him
Right.
on because it was the only voter I could scare up, and he told us that the senior committee is much harder to get out of.
It
So I
is.
would assume that Jacoby's chances are probably low, but let's all
Yeah.
root for him because
So-
he deserves it.
So the reason being, of course, anyone who doesn't make the Hall of Fame who had like serious consideration, i.e., they were up for it, many, many times, but didn't get in there, they're all in the senior committee pool.
There's
for
a
the
lot
most-
more people in
Yeah,
the senior committee.
it's like several hundred people in the pool, and only one or two ever get in every year.
But that having been said, he's a
Yeah.
semifinalist, and so
Yeah.
every Redskins fan should be rooting for him.
Most people, when I see them say who should get in from the senior committee, like most of these writers, he's always listed in that top 3, top 5 range. So like he has a shot. He's definitely one of the higher picked names in that group.
I mean, I firmly believe that all of the Hogs have been hurt in Hall of Fame voting by virtue of their personalities, which are
Right.
humble and
Mhm.
not really really open media blabby types, because those
Right.
are the ones that typically get voted. The Deion Sanders, obnoxious Deion Sanders types,
Right.
the ones in the Hogs. None of them are like that, and we know Jacoby a
Right.
little bit. I'd
Gentle
say.
giant. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. We
Well,
know
see-
Jacoby a little bit, and he's not like that at all.
Well, see, right now he's on the same list as right now with Ken Anderson, Roger
Yeah.
Craig, Henry Ellard, L.C.
Really?
Greenwood,
Right.
Eddie Meador, Stanley Morgan, Steve Tasker, and Otis Taylor. So that's going to be very tough for me.
I'd say like half of those players probably deserve to be in.
Oh,
off the top of my
definitely.
head.
Definitely, at least.
Yeah.
You know. But I usually hear him and Anderson listed in everyone's like final couple picks these days.
It may be time for me to gin up another Joe Jacoby Hall of
article
Fame column. Yeah.
Yeah. And
10th time.
Speaking of Hall of Fame stuff, London and B. Mitch are no longer in the running in the non-senior committee group. I believe they did not make the most
B.
recent
Mitch
cut.
is just not going to get in. He's another guy that probably deserves it on the basis of his special teams performances. He's
Right.
just clearly not going to get in because he's been nominated a billion times and never
and
makes
because
it.
it's special teams. And
Yeah.
like
And you also
people
have
got-
recency bias too. You see all the special teamers since the early 2000s on to now.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
you compare Mitchell to all of them, and everyone goes, "Well, man, he's not deserving."
Yeah, that's
So-
true. That's true. And London Fletcher is kind of minimized by virtue of the fact he played at the same time as Ray Lewis.
Right.
Yeah,
And Brian Urlacher and
Brian Urlacher, yeah.
Junior
couple
Seau.
others.
Like there were a lot of really good middle linebackers in that era.
But London's stats
Mhm.
hold up against all of them.
Oh, absolutely. Statistically, he does. People kind of forget that he won a Super Bowl early in his career, though. I think
Right.
that
Yeah,
hurts him
that's
too.
the other thing. He's hurt by the fact that he played for the Redskins, who were largely terrible.
And the Bills
Yep.
for
And the Bills.
most of their bad run.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that doesn't help him. He has a one Super Bowl early in his career with the Rams, and everyone forgets he was there because it was an offensive team.
But what you
yeah.
guys can do before we move on to this is if you want to help, pester the writers. Email them,
Right.
tweet at them, or what is it called? X at them, post at them.
It's still
Content-
tweet at them. They
Okay,
don't
yeah,
have a
yeah.
good
Tweet.
thing. Yeah, they don't
you
have
know,
a good name for that.
And if you go back and hunt, well, the writers have changed. I will do another Hall of Fame column and talk about this and
Yeah.
try to give everybody points of contact. But that's what you can do is contact the writers or try to influence
Yep.
the writers who are the voters.
Yeah.
And maybe
All
I'll
right.
rile up Russell Baxter again.
Or
Oh.
better yet, just ignore that idiot. And
Yeah. Didn't we try and piss off Dr. Z at one point too? Before he died.
I made an active effort to tick him off. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. That was early on in the show.
Yes. it
Good
was.
good times. All right. Speaking of riling things up, usually during this week we do our season in review recap episode. You know, looking back, the season stunk. So we're
Sorry,
gonna.
Alex just reviewed it. Period.
I've reviewed
right.
it.
three
we're
with
done.
3 words. The
No.
season stunk.
We will do some of that here later. But let's get to something fun stuff first. The rumor mill that's going on around Brandon Ayuk with the 49ers, that he is forcing his way out of his brand new contract. That part of the rumor mill seems legit. You're seeing it from, the real beat reporter types and the real insider
So can I
types.
real quick say what's
Yep.
going on here? So
Yep.
from a contractual standpoint, what has happened is he's asked the NFLPA to not protest, to not dispute the fact that the 49ers may have the right to terminate his contract for reasons
Guaranteed
of
monies.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for reasons of malfeasance and whatnot. And so, which is weird because normally you would want the union to fight to uphold your contract. He wants it basically to make it easier for the 49ers to get rid of him. So
Mhm.
basically, he's trying to parlay his bad attitude into a release. That's
Right.
what's going on, which says a lot about his lack of character, if you ask me.
Look, I think there are some concerns in that regard. Now, obviously, the reason we're bringing this up is anytime a story comes out about Brandon Ayuk, the first reaction from this fan base is, well, he played with Jaden Daniels, they're best friends.
Right.
We do know last time there was a contract dispute, there was a lot of talk about Ayuk coming to DC to be paired with his former college teammate. And by the way, teammates from when they were in Arizona, right? Not Ayuk.
Arizona
not an LSU
State.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, not at LSU.
Yeah, Arizona State. Yeah.
Yeah. So, look, I don't know how likely it is that, and I assume these rumors are true that he's trying to get out of San Francisco. I assume that San Francisco's like kind of looking to move on, rebuild, and that just makes sense. So if he were to leave, do I think it's likely that Washington's a top 2 or 3 destination for him? Yes, definitely. They'll have money. They're gonna need receiver help. We'll get into that in a little bit too. But yeah, like I wouldn't be shocked if it happens. If that's the way the dominoes fall, I could totally see it.
But my
It-
my biggest issue that I have outside of the fact that he's tore his ACL, MCL, and
Mhm.
his meniscus he tore up. I mean, he had a very very significant knee injury, so we're not even sure if he's going to get his burst and explosion back and so forth.
True.
But besides that, for a guy to do what he's doing to force himself off the team and how he's been doing it. I mean, set aside the fact that he's best friends with Jaden Daniels, set aside the fact that he's a young receiver, he can boost his offense, whatever.
He's not that young. He's 20. He'll be 29 next year.
Is he really 29 already? Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But either way, the point is the guy has not shown. I have never really ever seen him show a true team mentality since he's been with the 49ers. There's always been something every single year. And right now, after the year that this team has had right now, do you really want that mentality in this locker room going into an offseason where you need to reshape this mindset? You need to reestablish what this team is going to be. Do you need that distraction, especially with what you have coming out of the draft potentially as some receivers? You're going to have to that you're going to be arranged to get in the first or second round, high impact receivers. You know what I mean? I don't think Ayuk's that answer. I'm a big no on Ayuk. I'd much rather not. I'd much rather move on, especially because of the injury, because you have no idea.
I'm, for my part, I'm done rooting for guys with terrible attitudes. And the idea of
Yes.
basically forcing his way out of San Francisco by highlighting the fact that he has bad attitude and allowing the 49ers to get rid of him because of his conduct, it's horrible. And I'm just not going to root for a guy like that. And I mean, look, in terms of production, I mean, he's had 2,000-yard seasons.
Yeah.
At 14.6 average yards per reception. I mean, so from a performance standpoint, he's performed. That having been said, he's been on an outstanding team, and he'll be 28 in March, and so actually he'll be 28 next season and 29 in the 2027 offseason.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought he
That's
he
1
played
year
before next
difference.
season.
That having
Yeah.
been said, your point is still valid, which is, he forces his way out of San Francisco, then Washington almost have to sign him to a 4-year deal probably. And so then
Right.
that you're taking him out to, 32 at
Right.
big money,
Right.
for a guy that, if things don't go his way, he's going to turn sour too. He's going to
Yeah.
do it again. So I'm with you, Dave. I'm not now some of the fans out there don't care about attitude, don't care about any of this. They just seem to play. Some fans out there want guys with bad attitudes.
Yeah.
Some fans don't want, what they would call choir boys. I would rather have good people who
I
are
tell you what,
team players.
if I'm gonna have a team that's gonna have a player with a bad attitude, I want it to be my middle linebacker. I want it to be my I want it to be one of my offensive tackles, preferably both.
Yep.
If you want to have a bad attitude, be right in the trenches with that bad attitude. That's where I want the bad attitude right there.
They don't really need diva wide receivers.
Right.
Look, I understand that there is some diva stuff that comes with the wide receiver, and I think there's also a
Doesn't
line
have
between.
to. Terry
Right.
McLaurin isn't a diva.
Right. But
Yeah.
I think there's a line
Art
between.
Monk wasn't a diva.
No, it doesn't have to. You're right, but there's a line between bad attitude and diva. There
Ricky
is a
Sanders
difference.
isn't a diva.
No, but Plaxico Burress, diva, not necessarily bad attitude. Terrible about gun safety, not
Yes.
a bad attitude.
See the one that had a gun tucked in his, waistband of his
Sweatpants.
sweats?
Yeah, in
and
New
shot
York.
himself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Take it from someone who's been shooting since 5 years old. Don't
Right.
do that, people.
No.
Don't touch
Take
a
it
gun
from
into
somebody
your
who's
sweats.
never shot a gun. Yeah, that's a terrible idea. Why anyone thought that was a good idea, I do not know.
Yeah.
Plexico's a moron.
Yes, moron, but not bad attitude necessarily.
Ever want to go shoot some guns, Alex?
yes.
Let me know, and we'll go to the shooting range. You'll have to fly out to see me, but
I mean, if I'm in Texas, like I could probably just go shoot guns in any family member's backyard out there. To be fair,
people, that's not a thing. Okay, you have to. You cannot shoot firearms within city limits. It's not the Wild West.
Well, hold on.
It's not the Wild West.
Well, we could do it within city limits up here.
Yeah.
Not legally, you can.
That's semantic.
Yeah. When I was in college, we used to play a game every night called Name That Gunfire. Oh, that sounds like a 9mm 2 blocks away. We're fine. Oh shit, that was automatic.
Anyway, so to back to Ayuk, you can spare me Brandon Ayuk.
Yes. Yeah, but my point is also, I think they do need to go after a free agent wide receiver again this year, because I don't think they'll bring back Debo. We'll get into that. I don't want somebody older at a big contract either. Like we already got that with Terry next year. If we're going after guys, go after guys in their mid-20s, 25, 26, something like that.
Ideally, they would draft somebody, but they can't just draft everybody.
Right. They don't have enough picks to fill every hole.
Yeah, they need like 15 draft picks in the top.
Right.
Top 20. I would not be surprised if Treylon Burks is the guy they're crossing their fingers on will be the answer to that guy. So maybe
that's a pretty dumb thing to cross their fingers on.
Well, Treylon Burks is a very talented receiver, man. What are you talking about?
He's a scrappy pickup. Okay.
This year he was, sure, but you have to look where he came from.
That guy's not.
Dave's got a bit of a torch for this guy.
I do. He's got size. He's got speed. He's got hands. He came from a quarterback that was. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Will Levis made Taylor Heineke look like an all-pro quarterback.
Right.
Will Levis sucks.
Will Levis does
He was
suck.
terrible. I mean, there was nobody succeeding with Will Levis, and that's the only quarterback he played for.
All right, let me give you some names of guys who are free agents, because I have Spotrac open up right now.
Go ahead.
All right, here's young receivers who right now are scheduled to be free agents. George Pickens out of Dallas, 24 years old.
Yeah, but I think Dallas is going to move heaven and earth to keep him.
Probably, but I'm just putting, these are the three names. Alec Pierce out of Indianapolis, and then Wan'Dale Robinson out of New York. They're all 24, or Alec Pierce is 25. Oh, and Elijah Moore too out of Buffalo, but he's probably more like a third or a fourth.
I'm not a big Elijah Moore guy.
No, nor am I. But it's just the last big name that kind of shows up there.
Of those, I think Pickens would be my choice, but I think there's 0% chance that Dallas lets him go.
And he will cost you a lot of money.
He's worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like Robinson, he's got 800 yards this year. That'd be a very good option if he's available. Pierce, same thing. Like I'd rather go after one of those guys. Is just my point. You can sign them to a 3-year deal, and they'll be good for 3 years.
Rondell Robinson, I think, is one of those underrated receivers in the NFL. The guy typically has a very low drop rate. The guy is very, very reliable, good route runner, has good speed and everything. I mean, he's definitely a good piece to have on the field. He's not a number one, true number one guy, sure, but I think they're only going to get that in the draft if they draft early enough for that. Because, like you said, Steve, they can't draft everybody in this draft,
No.
I mean, because think about what they need in the draft. They need an edge. They need an elite edge rusher. They need a linebacker.
They still need secondary help. You basically need help.
Safety.
You need help everywhere on defense. You need a running back. You need receivers. You need a tight end in my book.
They're gonna need interior defensive linemen, but God help us if they draft yet another one.
Yeah. Oh, my wife just sent me a picture that she is not feeling well from her medical procedure that she had today. The hand thing.
But your answer needs to be. You need to cook.
that is why you are no longer married, Steve.
No, that's not the reason. Sorry to tell you.
I know that's not the reason.
Alex knows the reason.
I know the reason. All right, so one thing to get us on track, we did want to kind of do as part of our recap, is kind of go over and give. I want to do flash grades of the roster moves because this is kind of a where did we go wrong
F.
this
Oh,
season?
sorry.
Not all overall. Yes, the team gets an
Okay.
F for the season, but I'm saying more along the
You
lines
just
of
said flash grade, so I threw out F.
right grading the draft picks, grading some of these signings they made, that kind of thing.
Okay. Fair
So
enough.
I'm going to start. I won't do re-signings unless you guys really want to. Let's start with the trades and the free agent moves that they made, and I kind of want to just get your guys' thoughts and grades. So the obvious two big trades that they made: the trade for Tunsil, and then the trade for Debo Samuel. What do you guys grade those out as, respectively?
I thought they fleeced the Texans for Laramie Tunsil. I still don't understand why the Texans would do something like that. And I think he's got a lot. He had a lot of penalties earlier
Sure.
in the season, but he's more or less lived up to his billing as a elite left tackle, and
Right.
it's not somebody that Washington can just stumble on in the draft necessarily. So I would grade that one an A.
Yeah, I would definitely give that one an A as well too. Tunsil's career has been filled with bad penalties here and there. That just comes with his, with his aggressive play because
Mm-hmm.
he can get a little overly aggressive, and then you get an athletic edge rush on the outside. He kind of loses grip on, so he either holds them or whatever, and then he kind of gets a little aggressive coming off the line sometimes with his false starts. But outside of that, no, yeah, he's been more than what he's more
Yeah,
than what he what
he's
we
lived
So-
up to
yeah.
his billing.
So here's the
Yes.
thing. I would say performance-wise, I think he's probably more in like a B plus A minus range. Just he's had issues. I don't think he's anything special in the run game. Like he's a pass blocker. He's a pure pass blocking tackle. That's good.
That's
That's what
certainly
you
his
want.
special. Certainly his
Yeah.
specialty.
I got so spoiled from seeing Trent Williams for a decade. I think we all did. A left tackle who ran a 4.3, was getting
Captain
downfield.
attitude problem. Trent
Yeah,
Williams.
but talent wise, freaking.
Oh,
A
he's a
charts.
Hall of Fame. And Trent Williams is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Yeah.
Hard to compare
but
him to anybody.
I would also say the Tunsil trade, it bumps up for me because he is a at least couple year answer at left tackle. And this
Oh,
is
yeah.
why I actually don't grade the Debo move as an A move, even though they didn't trade a lot for him. Debo's a 1 year guy. He's not going to be part of the long term team here, so I don't, in hindsight, see much of a point in that move.
Well,
Um,
I think that trade for Debo in the first couple games, it proved its worth on what they wanted it to be because
He's
he was
played well. Don't
special
get me wrong about
teams.
that.
Yeah, he's been effective when he was running the ball and the short intermediate routes and all that stuff. But the problem is that he was never brought in here meant to be the number one guy. He was supposed to be a complement to what
Right.
we had in McLaurin and so forth. But unfortunately, he's been forced into the number one role. He is not a number one guy, and he can be easily taken out of the game. I mean, well, I think we would give him a third round pick for him, right? Or a third.
I was
forget
about
exactly
to
what we
ask
gave
that
up for him.
myself. I really can't remember. It was either a third or a fifth. Here, I'll look it up.
It was a fifth.
I think the move was for the intent of what the roster was going to be going into the season. I think was about a B minus move. But I think when you're looking at it now in terms of how he's performed consistently, he hasn't been super consistent. That's where you gotta go like probably a D plus for how it's worked out. But that's kind of
Mhm.
Yeah, but
everything.
you said it though, Dave. I mean, he's not playing the role he's supposed to play. And he
Right.
never, ever, ever. What he is Captain Gadget, basically.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's he can play a little running back.
Mhm.
He's not meant to be the number one X receiver.
No,
It's
he-
never
he-
supposed to be his role, and that's sort of what he's fallen into by accident here. But I mean, in terms of like value of the trade, I would give it a decent grade, like a B, maybe,
Yeah.
because they gave up fifth round pick for him. If you want me
Yeah.
to grade Debo Samuel's performance outside of the trade, I mean, he's a weak number one, very weak number one.
I
Mhm.
don't think he's meant to be number one. I'm not even
No.
holding that against him. I'm
Yeah.
I'm talking. I'm also looking at things from the long term build of this roster perspective, which I think to me that trade makes less and less sense when you're saying, what's this team in 2 years? Because Debo's not here. I just
Yeah,
don't see
well,
it.
yeah, that's unfortunate because clearly they were hoping that Debo was going to be that guy to get them over that hump in the NFC Championship game. They were trying to catch what they had there and try to build off of that.
Oh, I
And
know.
that's where and that's where they rolled the dice. And unfortunately, it came back and they fell on their
It
face on. And
came up.
now
Came
in
up.
hindsight,
Yeah. It came
yeah,
up not even snake eyes. It turned out one of the dice they had was one of those multicolored dices from like the games that a 2-year-old gets.
yeah,
It's like right on one side blue. Like they didn't even have two pair of real dice in the end.
right.
So yeah, all right. Let's go move on. Obviously, there were three big signings that I remembered to put down off the bat: Kinlaw, Harris, and then of course former kicker Matt Gay, which I think we'll all safely assume the Matt Gay signing was epic failure of just
Yeah,
massive
look, I mean,
performance.
I think they should have kept Matt Gay, honestly. I mean, given the circumstances, it was Matt Gay was bad over 50, okay, for
Yeah.
sure. And
Oh
he
no
missed
no no!
some.
It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with you. It was just not a good move to bring him in the first place.
I mean, they gave him too much money, but the point is, he was kind of money under 50. And what they ended up with is a kicker who is worse than Matt Gay. They basically traded kickers with San Francisco, more or less.
Right.
And so while I don't think the Matt Gay contract was a good contract, I don't think they should have cut him. And I think they kind of used him as an excuse,
Yeah.
to the media. They blame Matt Gay for the loss. Well, guess what? You guys sucked in that game. What? Yeah, Matt Gay
Yeah.
missed two field goals for sure, but you shouldn't have had him kick a 57-yard field goal. Number one, and number two, you can't count on that. And so
No.
I'm not really sympathetic to him, but because again they paid him too much money, but I think it was pretty dumb to cut him at this point in the season because
I
this is
think
what
it
happens. You get somebody like Jake Moody.
right. I think it was not. I think it was dumb to just say this is going to be our guy when he's coming in here with
Oh,
already
that I
problems.
agree with. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that I
Yeah. Yeah.
agree with.
Yeah. All right. So the other two, obviously, Kinlaw and then Harris, who of course has been injured. So I think you almost have to give an incomplete grade about the
Right.
whole
Are you
that
throwing
move.
Lattimore into this? Obviously, he's an F.
Oh, I
Oh,
count
that
that
was the
as last
previous year,
year.
though.
That's last year.
I
So
just want to
yes,
reiterate that Marshawn
no,
Lattimore is an
Marshawn
F.
Lattimore does suck, and it was a terrible move by Adam Peters. Uh,
As far as Kinlaw, I might be on the opposite side of Steve on this one a little bit. I think Kinlaw was worth the pickup. I think he's definitely a guy for what they wanted there. But the problem is they lost their edge rushers. They have an aging linebacker behind them in Wagner, although he leads the team in tackles, but still you can see he's lost a step. There's nothing around, and Deron Payne has, after the first couple games, just kind of effectively, in a way, just disappeared on the most part, pop up every now and then, just disappear. But I think Kinlaw has been a guy that's been really the only staple in this defensive line outside of Armstrong when he was healthy. That's been consistent all year. But you need all the pieces around Kinlaw for what he brings to the game to work, and he doesn't have the pieces around him for it to work, so he gets exposed. He's not a great pass rusher. He's a good disruptive run defender, but he
mhm.
he he's a guy that pushed the pocket back so someone come in and come in and clean up the work. We have nobody to come in and clean up the work. So he gets exposed for many of his weaknesses because of that. So, and
I,
that's unfortunate.
I'm not totally disagreeing with you on Kinlaw. I mean, in my
Okay.
column I wrote this week, it was Deron Payne I said needs to go. Too
Right.
expensive. Kinlaw, I mean, look, we know Kinlaw's limitations. He's not a pass rusher.
Right.
He's a dedicated run stuffer. Has it worked? No, not really, but I mean, I looked at some stats and they're basically 1/10 of a yard better this year than last year right now. Okay, so it's
Right.
not really gotten much better. But Kinlaw is kind of the only guy there who's even could be considered a plus level player,
Mhm.
maybe.
Right.
And his contract is large contract, but it's not a ridiculous contract. He's got a $45 million contract.
Uh,
John Payne's is $90 million. And so
I,
I think Kinlaw's been a decent piece, but they need to put pass rushers around him, which they
Yes.
didn't do.
right.
Now,
So
as far as Payne's contract, how he's probably not even movable in this offseason, though, is he?
No, okay, you want to go over those two Payne's contract? Okay, so actually he is movable because
Okay.
this year he's got a 26 cap at a little over 26 million. His he could have been cut this year. He had a post June 1 dead cap of 19 million, so it would have saved him 7 million and change. Next year, $28 million cap hit, $11 million dead cap, so he's a pretty big saving, almost 17 million, 16.8 million. So he is definitely cuttable. He's got a void year, so it would extend out the madness, another year, but they could get rid of him and save money.
I thought he had a couple more years in that for some
No,
reason.
it was
Okay.
well.
All right.
What you're seeing is he had a void. It was called a void year, and the
Yeah.
void year is just a pretend year that basically it's on the books
Right.
for salary cap purposes. And if you
Right.
fulfill the contract, it goes away. If you cut him, then they're going to be stuck paying dead cap for another year, basically.
Okay.
by the so yeah, I don't know. The Kinlaw thing, like I don't think he's
I don't
played
think it's a bust of a
poorly.
signing. Has it been great? No. Is he a
No.
bust? No. He's a decent player.
Well,
And that's
like you
to the
said,
extent Dave's
without
saying that, I agree.
seeing a decent
Yeah.
full line built, like how can you judge? And the defensive tackles are not here to get sacks. They're
Right.
there to try and hold up guys so that you can stop the run and play
Yeah,
that
but
style.
there's a role in pass rushing, okay?
There
I
is,
mean,
there is. I'm not saying there's no role, but I'm just saying it's not like a few years ago where the goal was Pan and Allen were going after the quarterback. Like that was their job for a couple of years.
Right.
So speaking of, by the way, remember we were talking about who are the ex Washington players who've been playing well now that they're gone? John Allen was the other name I was thinking of. He's played pretty good.
Okay.
Not great.
that was off the air. We were talking.
Oh, right, that
off the
was-
air. Yeah.
That was an off the air. See, off the air conversations, on the air conversations. Sometimes you get them confused.
We had talked about
Yeah.
who was it? No, I can't remember who even.
Forbes
Emmanuel
and
Forbes.
Curl. Yeah. So
And Cam Curl, right?
obviously that's been a lot of talk that the team let Forbes go. They let Curl go, Chin a little bit too, and John Allen was the other name I was thinking of, where these guys are still out there playing decently and probably, without question in some of these cases, definitely playing better than anyone who we have on this roster right now in the case of Forbes and Curl. And what were the coaches doing wrong? All this kind of stuff. Some of it is just, you need a change of scenery, right? I think we all agreed though that the one that never made sense to any of us was letting Cam Curl go.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I really
Yeah.
didn't understand that one.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't understand trading for Marshawn Lattimore, what they traded for him either.
No. I think the Lattimore trade again, even though not really part of this last
I can't let it
season,
go. Yeah,
I
I
know,
know, but I mean,
it's just so
it's
so
a part of the
confusing.
problem, is what I'm saying.
Yep, no question that it was part of the problem. The Cam Curl thing was a big mistake by Adam Peters.
Yes.
You had a good young safety and you kind of let him
Yeah.
walk because of reasons that you never explained.
Yeah, no one knows what they are.
Right. All right.
Now,
Other-
as far as Emmanuel Forbes, though, I know a lot of people want to give Peters a lot of heat for that, but let's be fair and honest. I mean, he had no development on the prior regime, didn't play well.
Nope.
His final year with us at all, and was grossly exposed at every angle.
Emmanuel
this
Forbes
coaching
sucks. Is
staff-
that what you're saying? They suck.
He
sucks.
sucked for us, absolutely.
Yes.
But,
I think
but
I
there
think he
was-
was a head case. Remember how
Yeah.
bad he was on the sidelines?
Well,
Uh,
ever since Ron Rivera had the brilliant idea of putting him 1-on-1 against AJ Brown in that game, that completely destroyed his confidence the rest of the time
Yep.
he was with us. So there was no development in that kid at all whatsoever. But now with the Rams, what you have is in the last 4 games, He has 3 interceptions, and he has pass breakups. He has, where you at? There you are. 11 pass breakups in the last 3 games. What he had. He's been steadily improving every single week. Now, granted, does that say that he was a first-round stud cornerback? No, not necessarily. I look at it that, well, he has a team with good coaching and good talent around him, so they're able to play to his strengths. We never did that for him. Not that we were even close to the talent that the Rams had on defense. I get that. But we never even put him in that position to flourish with anything around him. And we wanted him to be our number 1 corner. He's not a number 1 corner. But he's on a team where he can flourish and be a number 2, be effective because of the pass rush the Rams have and the good run defense they have out there. So it's not that Adam Peters made a mistake here. If Forge is still with Washington today, I mean, can you honestly say that what you see in LA right now, that he would have done that for us here? I would say no, absolutely not, no way.
I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. All right, so there were some other small names, guys like Dietrich Wise.
Let's roll through this pretty quickly.
Yeah. No, we're not going to focus on Jonathan Jones and Goldman are some of the other signings they made, but other than Dietrich Wise, none of them really have done a whole lot.
Dietrich Wise hadn't done a whole lot either.
Yeah, well, he got hurt, right? I mean,
game 1, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Jonathan Jones, I guess Jonathan Jones has probably done the most of any of them because he's still playing.
By default.
He's one
of the few that hasn't been hurt yet.
Right. All right. So lastly,
actually, he just came off of IR like 2 weeks ago. Didn't he?
I don't remember.
He just came off of IR for us. But either way.
Yeah. All right. The last thing with the off season to kind of look back on the draft picks. Obviously, not fully fair to grade draft picks in their rookie season, but we have Connerly, who we've talked about quite a bit on the show.
I think the summary of Connerly is he was terrible early. He's gotten better.
He's been improving. He still needs to get stronger, I think is the fair thing to say.
I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. Amos, up until he got hurt, was playing really well. I was thrilled with that progress. Medrano, we didn't really see a lot of him. Like he's been inactive almost every game.
Medrano is a incomplete grade.
Yes. Yeah. We'll see because he's kind of a practical guy. Krosky Merritt had one really good game. Yeah,
but listen, he's a 7th round pick, and I refuse to grade a 7th round pick low, absent like him committing like murder.
Right.
He's
contributing. He's contributing, which is good.
As a player, he's too inconsistent. But as a 7th round pick, okay.
Right. Lane is the only one who's, left there, and I think he can still become a good player. He has had some struggles, especially those turnovers on special teams, which were kind of surprising.
Inconsistent.
Also inconsistent. I've kind of said this before. I think this team's done a terrible job developing all their draft picks from this year and last year. I would give the team a full F grade for developing younger players.
Probably.
Because I don't think, even I'll add Jane Daniels says, I don't think there's a single guy from the first draft with this group who's no one's improved from last year to this year.
Including Jane Daniels.
Yeah, including Jane Daniels.
And the crazy part, you have someone like Mike Sanderstill who struggled in the slot in his rookie year. They moved to the outside, and that's where he started to flourish. He was playing very, very well. And he's a natural slot corner. So we get Lattimore. You have him on the inside with Trey Amos on the other side. Now you figure, well, there we go, his natural position. He, for whatever reason, he just can't play the slot.
Slot's harder to play. People don't understand.
Right. Yeah. But I figured like his entire collegiate career was out of the slot in a Big Ten program. I mean, in Michigan. I mean, it's not like he was in like SMU or whatever in a slot corner out there. So, but I just think the rest of the year, I think we'll see what kind of corner he is on the outside. Yeah. And I think if he really performs well on the outside, and I think Amos has proven he could develop into a top tier corner, you need to find a new slot corner somewhere. You need to leave Sanderstill on the outside.
I do agree.
I don't know if
but
the team agrees with you though,
uh,
for some reason. I think you're right. I don't know if the coaches agree with you.
We'll
Yeah.
see, I guess.
Yep.
that is one of those weird things, and we've seen that before with uh previous staffs here, where they are like, no, this guy's going to be our slot, or this guy's going to be an outside guy, and they refuse to
Well,
adjust
there's
to
a
that.
lot of ego in coaching.
There really
NFL
is.
coaches. So they think
Yeah.
they can kind of coach anybody up, and
Right.
know.
Right. Well, or they think their initial scouting report must be right in that case too.
Right.
That's
They get very
it.
stubborn.
Yeah. So that kind of grades those guys. I think like I said, you can't really judge these guys yet. The draft picks. We can start to judge the last year's guys. So one last thing I wanted to ask when it came to looking back at the season.
Yes, Marshawn Lattimore deserved an F.
Yes, he
No,
does.
that's not your question. Sorry.
No. Is there a letter below F we could give Marshawn Lattimore? But my question
There's a
was
lot of letters below that.
not in terms of letter grades, unfortunately. If Jane Daniels had not been hurt and had played every game, what would this team's record be?
Maybe one more win.
Honestly, the truth of the matter is, I think Marcus
Jane
Mariota has
Mariota.
Played about as well as Jane Daniels this year. I mean, he's got a little bit lower completion percentage. He's got a couple more interceptions. But Jane Daniels, to me, just didn't look like himself, and I don't think they would have won any of those games with Daniels in there. I mean, if you want to say, okay, difference maker, you'd maybe say the Miami game, and so if you give him that win, maybe, but I don't think it would be dramatically different because I think Mariota's played pretty well.
So I would say the Miami
all
game
things
and
considered,
the
yeah.
Atlanta game are probably two that Daniels may have been a difference in.
Maybe.
Again, I don't think Daniels was playing well, though.
I don't think he was playing like last year, but I don't
No,
think he's
that's
been
what
playing
I'm saying.
badly.
No,
either.
but he wasn't a difference maker like he was this year, like he was last year.
No,
and
he's
he
been
wasn't
much
throwing.
more of a game manager
He wasn't
this year.
seeing the field as well. His passes haven't been as accurate. He's not run. He wasn't a difference maker in the run game this year, like he was last year.
And the unfortunate part, though, is that there was like zero chemistry with the receivers because of all the
Yes.
injuries. When he lost Eckler, that safety valve, there was nothing with the running back. I think they waited too long to infuse Chris Rodriguez into this offense. They should have done that weeks earlier, but whatever.
I said that in the offseason, by the way, just for the record.
Yeah. Well, you've always been a Chris Rodriguez fan since the day they drafted him.
Yep.
But unfortunately, I just think Jaden Daniels never had the opportunity because of chemistry and injury to where he rebound from his early season slump, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of bringing him when he's ready to come back. I'm not a huge fan of bringing him back unless McLaurin's going to be fully healthy and that offense is going to be almost full 100% minus Eckler. Okay, maybe. But if you're not going to have that scenario for him, what's the point?
I mean, he's going to want to play.
Yeah. I get that, but
I think even regardless of the McLaurin situation or some of the other injuries, short of like your whole O-line being injured, I do want to see him play because I think there is a psychological aspect to this in terms of his own personal growth, his own personal. You need to show this kid, no, you have to overcome the hard parts.
Right.
You don't get to take your ball and go home just because things are bad.
Yeah, I agree with Alex. I mean, David, I'm going to take the opposite opinion of you. I think if play him, I think if nothing else, he needs experience. Even if it doesn't go well, I like to see him break this, like, I'm going to call it a slump of mediocrity. Because he's not really in a slump by quarterback standards. He just isn't up to rookie year Jaden Daniels.
Right.
He's kind of the same thing that happened to C.J. Stroud is happening to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah. And I'd like to see him at least finish the season with a flair, maybe, so that give him and the team and the fans kind of something to look forward to next year a little bit. So in that respect, I like him to play.
That's a fair point.
I do wonder, and with young quarterbacks, there's always little things that they're being told to work on each offseason. I'm wondering what thing he's been trying to work on that kind of dipped all his numbers. It feels like ball security because I look at how he plays. He doesn't turn the ball over at all this year when he is playing.
What's making me nervous about him this year? Last year he was clearly 100% focused on football. This year I'm seeing him in Campbell Soup commercials. He's got, a higher profile. I've always
Mm,
get worried that guys like this get distracted. Even those that have the best of intentions. Like Chase Young got distracted. He didn't have the best of intentions.
right.
Right.
RG3, same thing. He was
Yeah,
always
yeah,
focused more on
other
the
things
showbiz
and
stuff. Yeah.
and finding women and all that. And I'm not saying Jane Daniels to that uh, to that
That
extent,
extent.
but
No, no.
it just makes me nervous when I start to see the guy in a bunch of commercials. Like, what is the focus here?
I think that's fair. I think that's very fair.
I'm not going to
Right.
attribute that to his slump necessarily. I just don't like
Mhm.
it.
Right. Right. All right. So last thing we got to talk about this upcoming game on it's Sunday night, right? Sunday night this
Yes,
Yeah.
game.
night game,
Oh,
NBC.
freaking night games. What?
We hate
Why?
night games on the Hog
Yeah.
side.
Put this at 9 a.m. again. I want another 9 a.m.
Please.
game. Yeah.
Yes.
It'll make Dave's life easier. He just has to drive down and like go to the stadium at 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then he could Dave could be home by like dinner. That would
The
be
reason why we hate night
nice for
games
him.
is, and I probably hate it worse because we're writing and editing, and
Right, right,
we're not a reporter that has nothing else to do. We have real jobs,
right.
Right.
and I don't want to sit up
Well,
all
you
night
guys have
like
real
watch.
jobs. I stand by the fact that my job is a fake job.
Fair enough. You said it, not me. But that's why we hate night games.
Yeah. All right. So Washington plays the Broncos, two teams who are on the exact opposite trajectory, frankly.
Yes.
Whereas Denver struggled last year with Bo Nix. They're really playing great right now. Everyone's healthy. Their defense is, lights out, fantastic. Washington, all the opposite things. So, Steve, do you have any numbers you want to give from about
Well,
Denver or?
the one thing I want to point out above all else here that I think is the most important is that J.K. Dobbins is out for the season. J.K. Dobbins is our lead running back, averaging 5 yards a carry, 772 yards in 10 games. He's gone.
Mhm.
Okay, and so to me, therefore, and I don't necessarily think, B.J. Harvey is the backup. He's anywhere near what J.K. Dobbins was. And
Right.
so I think that kind of turns the Denver offense in terms of focus of what Washington's defense should be into um, short and mid-level passing game because they've got a bunch of decent receivers. What they don't have is they don't have like Deshaun Jackson out there who's
Mhm.
running, constantly running verticals and going to burn people. I think that's not who their receivers are, and so I don't think that's who Cortland Sutton is. I don't think that's who Troy Franklin is necessarily. Marvin Mims to a lesser extent. So to me. Well, first of all, first key is, Washington's made a bunch of mistakes and they played badly. That goes without saying. They need to stop that. That's number one. But in terms of the game, I think focus on the short and mid-level passing game. So which means you got to get better performance out of the linebackers. Stop having confusion in the secondary, and focus on that. And then the other thing in an offense, this is ball control offense. Okay,
Right.
Denver's defense is one of the best in the NFL. One of the best. Um, and they score some points. They're not at the top of the list
No,
necessarily.
they have
Um,
many games where they're in the teens.
right. But Washington just can't compete. And so what I think they need to do is we're talking long, sustained drives. That's what Washington needs to do.
Mhm.
So defend the short to midterm passing game, ball control offense,
Yeah.
limit the mistakes. That's what I see as the game plan here.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think I agree with you, Dave.
um, this game unfortunately is you're
I'm not saying
having
they can
a.
do it. That's where you're going. I'm just saying
Oh
that's
no
what they
no
need
no
to
I
do.
no no
Yeah.
I'm not saying all that. I know that. I think the rational listener, the reasonable listener, knows that as well. I'm just not going to repeat everything you said because you're right, of course. But the problem is that This Denver team is in the midst of they just got to come off a crushing loss against KC coming into their bye. Now they're coming out of their bye and they're coming down the stretch of the season where they have a chance on cinching this division. You know,
And
they're
they're in the
very
race for the number 1 overall seed too.
correct.
And they're mad.
Yes, and they have a great
They
defense.
beat Kansas City. You said they lost to Kansas City.
I thought they lost that in. Oh no,
No.
yeah, you're right. They did lose that. My bad. But okay, so maybe they're not as mad. There you go. But
they're coming in hot.
For the record, just to be clear,
I was thinking of their first game when they lost
they
down
beat
the stretch.
Kansas City 22-19.
Yeah.
Just for the record.
Yes, I was thinking of their first matchup where they lost at the end of the game by a field goal. But the Broncos defense, the only thing that's going to give them a chance in this game is Bo Nix, and if he has one of those inconsistent games where he's missing his throws, underthrown, and turns the ball over. Although he hasn't been bad in turning the ball over this year, but he has been placing the ball inaccurately at times. So if you catch him in those moments to take advantage of some poor throws, even like a defensive pick six or something like that, I think they have a shot in that sense. But overall, I just think this team that they're facing right now is just too strong defensively for them to be able to do anything on offense.
The problem is, to me, Dave, is like Washington needs a running game in this league.
Yes.
And Denver, yes, Denver has an elite run defense here.
Right.
They really do. And I'm going to give the number here in just a minute. But to me, the only way to do ball control and compete is to have some sort of productive running game. And it's impossible to think that Washington can do that against this defense. Denver is average 3.6 yards per attempt in defense, which is number 1 in the NFL.
Run defense, to be clear.
Sorry, run defense. Yeah. And so in absence of that, I mean, think screens, short passes, big Zach Ertz day. I know the fans don't want to hear that. But I don't know how they win this game without establishing a consistent running game, which is almost impossible to think they could do, given the suckiness of Washington's run, inconsistency of Washington's run game, and they're playing the best in the league. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Dave. I'm sorry.
I
was looking at their totals. 7 of their 11 games, Denver's held teams to under 100 yards rushing.
Right.
That's pretty darn good. And anytime you're holding them to under 100, that's a good thing. Washington doesn't do that.
No, I said earlier in the show, for all of Washington's investments, Washington as a defense is holding teams. If I can go back down here, 4.7 yards per attempt. Last year they were at 4.8 at the end of the year.
Right.
Hey, that is improvement statistically.
Barely.
That's true. Barely.
It could be a rounding error. We don't know.
No, it's not a rounding error because the stats round appropriately, because I've actually checked that.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
I'm that much of a stat nerd, yes.
Yes. Steve, how many decimal places over did you look? Yeah. Look, this is going to be a probably an ugly game. Let's be honest. I don't think Washington will be as bad or incompetent as the Jets were when they played the Broncos. Who, if you don't know, the Jets had negative 10 passing yards in that game. I don't think Washington's that bad on offense. But yeah, like I don't see any way that they're going to really be able to move the ball very much.
I want to make sure Dave didn't have more to say because I cut him off, I think, twice.
Oh, I think I kind of hit my points and everything. And to your point, Alex, I think a game that's going to be this bad. I think Denver has also had a knack of playing down to their opponents. I think they'll show a level of dominance, especially defensively against Washington, but I think the game will be closer in score than what the actual gameplay really was, if that makes any sense. So,
no, that does. And to your point, most their games are decided by a field goal or less
Yeah.
throughout the season.
I hear you guys, but until Washington proves that their defense isn't atrocious, I have no faith in them. So to me, I've got the Broncos winning 35-17.
Yeah.
Myself, I have them going a 26-18.
I do think Washington's defense is going to be better with Dan Quinn calling plays. But I'm in the 28 to like 21 range. I think that's the best case scenario for Washington's maybe 3 touchdowns. So, all right, that should do it for the show, guys. We did it. We did another bye week spectacular. This one was less spectacular, but this was just a normal bye week.
It was. We didn't even call it a bye week spectacular this week.
No,
so.
and it's a flat hour. We didn't do 2 hours like we used to do back in the day.
Did we do 2 hours for those?
For like 5 years, we've always made it a 2-hour show. I don't know what was wrong. I mean, I was drunk. I don't know your excuse.
Alex has literally been drunk on these shows before.
Well, less so when we would do those ones because we always had guests, and I took
it was usually it was the post game ones.
Right. Yes, that was definitely drunk for many of those because we recorded it like 30 minutes after a game, usually a loss.
Right.
We have the famous one where we had to edit you out.
We had to delete me. Yep, we deleted the entire thing I did. Yep. It's still on my computer somewhere. I don't know where. All right, guys, that'll be the end of this show. We will talk to you all next week after we probably lose. Later.
All right. Later. Merry Christmas.
Merry Hanukkah.
Merry Halloween.
Yeah. Happy Guy Fawkes Day.